So, hey everyone, welcome to Spentarn Learning Platform. And for today in the Python programming, we will be going to discuss data types. It is very much important part of Python programming. And this is the fifth lecture in the Python playlist. So let's start this lecture. So here we are on the Python data types. Basically, what are data types? Actually, when we want to store something into the variables, so there are a lot of things that we need to just think of. For an example, if there is a variable which is a and I want to store 9, so can you tell me which data type it is? So it is an integer, right? But if I say that I want to store this Spentarn, right? Which data type it is? You will say it is like a character. But in Python programming, it is known as string. So this is what we are going to learn today. So data types are basically the classification or categorization of data items. Whatever the data we want to store into the variables, we will be categorize those data types or those data items, right? It represents the kind of value that tells the operation that can be performed on a particular data, right? For an example, if I'm doing like this one, Spentarn plus if I want to do company and then I want to print that, what would be the output? You can see it is getting concatenated, Spentarn company, right? But in case if I want to add 9 plus 8, what would be the output? It would be 17. But in case if I want to do 9 and 8, you will see the output is 98. It got changed. So this is how the data types will tell us that basically what kind of operation we want to perform, right? Or we can perform on that particular data. Since everything is an object in Python programming, data types are actually classes and variables are instances of these classes. Here, if I'm using this a equals to int of 9.0, which means a int is somehow a kind of already defined class in Python programming, right? Already the Python developers have already defined it that whenever the user will going to use int, it will get changed from float to integer. Now there are a lot of data types here, but we will be discussing here the important ones. There are like data types which is numeric, sequence type, boolean, set, dictionary, binary types, right? Binary types is something like byte array or bytes. We will be discussing it in further videos. So here is a graph which is showing that how many data types we have: numeric, dictionary, boolean, set, sequence type. And in numeric we will be having integer, float, and complex numbers. You all know complex number. What is complex number? Where we have a plus ib, right? I denotes the complex part, right? Now dictionary is somehow you can just refer to like where we have the keys and value, right? Boolean is something in which we have true and false, and set is something you can just assume it is a kind of array in the Python. And sequence type is a string, list, tuple, right? So what is the basic difference between set and list? We'll be discussing it in this video. So basically we will be discussing about here the data types in which this type function is very much important. So before moving to the type function, we will be knowing that what is the different kind of numeric data, right? We will be moving ahead with the type function after this discussion. Okay, so numeric data type is something if we want to store 9.0, then it is something like float kind of data type in which we have point value. So we'll be discussing everything in this video, right? So we'll be discussing data types, and first one is our numeric data type. Right, in numeric data type, first of all you must have to know that what is numeric data type. Basically whenever I just enter some kind of value 1 2 3 4 5 6, it is somehow you can say the numeric data type, but in which if I want to store 1.12, which will be just known as float data type. It is also the part of numeric data type actually, but the thing is got changed. Like it will not be an integer, but it becomes a float, right? So here is the integer part, float part, complex number. So let's discuss one by one. First of all, we will be discussing what is an integer. So basically, if I just want to write a equals to 9, so here if I just want to type the a, so what the type function will give me? It will give me the type of a, which kind of value we have assigned to a. So it will give me the type of a. So whenever we just run this code, it will just generate that it is an integer type, right? But in case if I just enter 9.0 or 9.12, what would be the value? It will become float. See, the float value would be considered in the point manner, right? Whenever I have a point value like 1.12, 9.13256, whatever we have the value, but in point type, it will be considered as float, right? But in case if we go for the complex numbers, their complex numbers we can write like 1 plus I5, right? Whenever I just run this code, you will see that is giving me an error. Why? Because we cannot directly write I5. Why? Okay. So we will see that it is 2 plus 3j they have written over here. So we will write it as 5i. Let's see is it right or wrong. It is again wrong. So we have to just type it 1 plus 5j. See, it is a complex number. Okay. So generally in Python programming, j, if there is a value with j, it will denote the complex number, right? So I have write it down 1 plus 5j for the a, and if I just find out the type of a, it will give me the complex number, right? So this is how our numeric data types work and what are the kind of numeric data type we have, right? Moving ahead, we have sequence data types. Sequence data types that are containing string, list, tuple. So we will discuss it one by one. Now let's comment it out and just move to the next. So our next data type is string, right? Okay. So string data type, first of all, if you want to know the string, so string is basically our character. For an example, if I want to write a equals to and Spentarn, you will see if I just run this code with printing this a, it will give me Spentarn, right? But in case I want to just know the type of it, it will give me it is a string, right? str, okay, which is the class of this string, right? Now the other thing that I want to know is the list. So I can how can I make a list? So for an example, if I want to make b equals to for the lists, always remember that there would be the square brackets, right? And I can store anything into it. The special thing in the list is list for the Python is that we can store any kind of data into it. Like I can store the string into it. I can store the integer into it. I can store the float number into it, right? And when I just want to know the data type of it, uh, let's run this code and let's remove this one. So whenever I just run this code, you will see it is giving me the list because whenever data got started or filled into the square brackets, it will be my list. Or you can consider it as a mini array, right? So this is our list, and for the tuple, if I just want to change these square brackets into the rounded brackets, and if I just run this code, you will see the type would get changed and it will become tuple. So this is the basic difference between list and tuple. Apart from that, the major difference which everyone want to learn is the mutable and immutable part. And mostly interviewer will ask you that what is the basic difference between tuple and list is. So there is majorly two differences, which first one is the difference of braces, because the list will use the square brackets but tuple will use these rounded brackets. And another thing is The list is our mutable type and tuple is immutable. What is mutable actually? Mutable is something in which we can change the data, right? For an example, if I just define a equals to, and I just give it Spentarn for the first element, second element is 2, third element is 6, right? And if I just want to print this, okay, if I just want to print this, let it be commented, and if I just run this code, you will see the thing will get printed over here, which is Spentarn 26, right? Okay, okay. Now, what I want to do, the next step is if I just want to change the first element, right? The first element can be changed. First of all, you have to know what is indexing in the Python. For the indexing, you have to know that if I just want to access this first element, so remember one thing, that our indexing in the Python programming will start from 0 and up to n, whatever the values we have. So for an example, if it's spent 10 I want to access, it will, the indexing of spent 10 would be 0, the indexing of 2 would be 1, and for the 6 it will be 2, right? For an example, if I want to print a, and I'm just giving the indexing of 0, right? Just remove this one, this excess stuff. Okay, okay, so it will be giving me spent 10 only. If I just change the indexing and give it 1, it will give me 2, right? So this is how you can access the element by using the indexing. But what I want to do now is I want to change the value of first index. So I'm just changing the value of first index and changing it to which value? I'm just giving it company, right? And if I just print this a list, right? The whole list I want to print, and you will see the change. The change is that on the on the first index, you will see the 2 is being replaced with company because I can change it easily in the list. But in case if it is a tuple, let's take an example of tuple here. P equals to the same example I would take, right? Okay. And if I want to change B with the indexing of 1 equals to company, okay, and if I just run this code, print B and just comment this one. Okay, if I just run this code, it is giving me an error. It is giving me that tuple object does not support item assignment. So I cannot change the value of tuple, or I cannot change the indexing of first element. I cannot replace the element of 2 with company because it is a tuple, right? But in case of set, we have changed it to company, right? So this is the major difference in between tuple and our list. Okay, so this is the sequence data type. One more thing I want to add on here is just remove this one. The thing which you should know is how we can do the slicing. Okay, so for the slicing, let's give it commented slicing. Okay, for the slicing part, you must know the indexing first. I have already told you how can index the values of an list, right? Of a list. So we have just indexed it Spentarn with 0. For the 2, we have indexed it with 1, and for the 6, it is indexed with 2, right? So 0, 1, 2. I can write it down here 0, 1, 2. Okay, this is our indexing for these elements. Now, for the slicing, if I want to use only the first two elements, or I want to print the first two elements, so how I can do it? I can do it with A, and I can give from 0 to up to where I will give this colon, and up to where I want to print these two elements I want to print, Spentarn and 2. So what is the indexing of 2? It is 1. But to get the output of the first kind of index, I need to add on plus 1 to it. Then only I will be getting Spentarn and 2. That means 0 and 1. I want to just access these two elements. So for that, I have to just 0 2. I have to just give it 0 to 2, right? You will see because it will run from 0 2 and minus 1. That means I will be getting 0 0 zeroth index and 2th index or first index, right? Just run this code. You will see. Just remove this one. You will get confused. Okay, you will see here, if I'm just running this code, you will see from 0 to 2, it is giving me only the Spentarn and the company. Why company? Because I have just changed this one. So let's remove this one as well. Okay, just run it again and you will see Spentarn and 2 it is giving, right? This is how the slicing work in Python, okay? If I just give left it like this 0 2, okay, I'm not giving any value here. So whenever I just run this code, you will see the whole list will be printed over here. But in case if I just start it with 1, so it will just left the value of 0th index and will start from 1 up to the last value. So it will print 2 and 6. Okay, so this is how the slicing works in Python. Okay, so another thing would be, now moving ahead with the data type, the other data type we have is we have already known how we can access the data list. We have already done, we can access the elements. We have already known the tuple. We have already discussed Boolean data type, right? So this is our Boolean data type. How we can do, how we can use actually the Boolean data type. So basically Boolean data types would just cover true and false only. For an example, if I'm just giving a equals to true and just print this one, print a, it will give me true only. Or if I just want to check its types, I can check its type. What is the type of true? It will give me Boolean. Okay, it is giving me bool. That means it is a Boolean data type, right? So this is how you can do it. And in case of false, again you can use the false here and just type and check the type of it. You will see it is a Boolean data type. So this is how the Boolean data type would work, and we can use it. Set. So now the basic difference we would be getting to know here is the set versus list. Set is somehow similar to our list, but the difference would be that we would not be having the repeated elements in the set, right? So let's comment it out and just discuss here. Set. Okay. Okay, we will discussing here set. For the set, if you will see, if I want to just make any kind of set, I can use these braces, right? But before that, I have to use set. For an example, let us define here a list first of all. A equals to, I'm just defining 1, 2, 3, and one string, right? Okay. Now let's take any repeated element as well. 2 and 3. These 2 and 3 got repeated twice, right? Now just print this one. If I just print this one in case of list only, the whole kind of data will be printed, whole kind of list would be printed. But if I just use here set and then I want to just print it out, you will see there is an error. No, there is not an error, right? But it would become a set, right? So what is the difference between list and set? Okay, we will be get to know here. Just remove this one and we want to use it here. We will be using it b equals to set of a, right? And just print here b. Okay, so whenever I just run this code, you will see the duplicate data would get removed automatically. We will see 1, 2, 3 and a string. The twice data which got repeated earlier is got removed here. Why? Because set does not contain any duplicate value, right? It contains only the unique elements. So we got these unique elements. So this is the basic difference between set versus list. Okay. Now let's move ahead with different data types. Similarly, we can access the data of set as well. If I just want to uh, get the data for an example, if I want to use b zeroth element with the indexing, I will be getting 1. Oh, it is giving me an error. Why? Because set object is non subscriptable. Why? We will see it here. You can see if we want to just access any kind of data element, we cannot directly access it, but in case we can use directly for I in range, or we are not using range function yet, but we will just directly using in and set 1, right? So if I just make a loop over here, okay, if I just make a loop over here for I n set, which set? It is A, not actually A, it is B. Okay. Now if I just print I, okay, and just run this code, you will see each element got printed over here. Okay, now I want to access the element of which one? I want to access the element of second one. So I can directly print it out the second data I want to access, right? Not like this. You will just write it down. B2. Okay. Again, there is an error. Why? The error is because we cannot directly access it, but rather we can just make a loop and access all the elements at once, right? So we have done it like this. Okay. Now, moving ahead, we have different kind of other data types too, like dictionary we have, and then we have to access the dictionary element. So I have already told you in the starting that dictionary data type would be containing the values in the format of key and value. So we'll be looking at here now. You will see it is an empty dictionary, right? And we can just directly print it like it is an empty dictionary to show that it is empty, right? We can, okay. For the dictionary, what thing is important? You should know that if I just make any element a equals to and just leave it like this and just type the type of a, it will give me that it is a dictionary because these curly braces will give us a dictionary, right? Automatically it will give us a dictionary. In case we have just seen that if we were using the if we were using the square brackets, there we have the list, right, or set. But in case of tuple, we were using the round braces, but in case of dictionary we will be using the curly braces, right? Now this is how you can just store the data elements in the dictionary, right? So what actually this mean? I will show you here. Basically, dictionary works in the format of key and value, right? I have already told you that dictionary works in the format of key and value. So first of all, I would give the value of key and then would give the value of it, right? Key is something like you can say it is a indexing for it, and the value would be directly we are just giving the elements or data to it. For an example, if we were giving this data in the set, we were just accessing it with the help of its indexing 0 1 2 3 4 5, right? But in case of dictionary we will be just accessing it with the help of its key values or directly key we can say. Okay, let it be more clear to you with an example. Okay, I'm just writing it here one, and let's write it here it is Puneet, then comma, I'll just give in 2 and just give it like Vineet. Okay, I'm just giving it 3. Let it write Rohit. Okay, and again if I just want to check the type of it, you will see it is again dictionary. But what I want to know here is that how we can access the element using the key. Okay, so here you do not have to worry about anything. You will just directly give it a 1, right? You will see what would be the output of it. The output of it would be directly Puneet. Why? Because for the key of 1 we are having the element or the value is Puneet, right? If I just run this code, you will see it is giving me Puneet. If I want to give it 3, okay, if I want to give it a 3, it will give me Rohit because the key of 3 is having the value of Rohit, so it is giving me Rohit here, right? So this is how you can use a dictionary with the key and value pairs. Okay, now moving ahead, uh, they have already used this kind of stuff, that dictionary they have made with the dictionary DICT name, and they have just given the name here. Name is somehow a kind of indexing for the dictionary, and the value for it will get is 4. So 4 would get printed over here, right? Now moving ahead, we are just moving into the deep of string list tuple iterations, right? So I've already told you that what is a string, right? I've already told you what is list, right? Now let's move forward with iteration. Okay, iteration is nothing but the case which we have earlier used, that is in, right? For an example, if I just want to make a set over here which is a equals to, and just giving it values 1 2 3 4 5, right? And just giving it a value of a string like Puneet, right? Okay, and now if I just run this code for I n a and just print this thing, print I. Okay, whenever I just run this code, I will see that 1 2 3 4 5 and Puneet get printed over here. So this is how the iteration would work in list, not only in list but in each and every data type which is in the bracket, right? So this is how they have used. In place of for loop, they have used while loop. Similarly, we can use the while loop as we have earlier used the for loop as well, right? We will be discussing the while loop and for loop in further videos as well. But here they have just used it for the for telling you that what is iteration actually, right? So they have used here this for loop which we have already used for I in A. Okay. So this is how you can do the iteration in the Python programming. So I think this is sufficient for this video. So thank you so much. If you have any kind of doubt, you can just comment it out in the comment section, and we will be doing more and more questions in the, or we'll be discussing further in topics with the next video. So thank you so much for joining us on Spentarn Learning Platform.